7 bone-chilling road trip horrors. What we encountered at midnight will haunt you forever. The night was deep, shrouded in a cloak of darkness thick enough to swallow a car whole. A group of friends cruising down an isolated highway found themselves spiraling into a world of spine-tingling dread and bizarre occurrences. The air grew colder, sending uneasy chills down their spines. Each mile dragged them deeper into shadows, where whispers of ghosts danced in the moonlight. Sarah, sitting in the back, felt her heart pound like a war drum. "Did you guys see that?" she gasped, pointing to the rearview mirror, where a flicker of movement scrambled across the road, a flickering light that vanished as if swallowed by the night itself. But that wasn't all. Just moments later, they pulled over to stretch their legs at a rickety old gas station that seemed forgotten by time. The fluorescent lights buzzed erratically, casting eerie shadows that twisted around them. The flickering created a strobe-like effect which sent a shiver running through Alex, who stayed behind, scanning the dark for anything sinister. "This place feels wrong," he murmured. With nervous laughter, the group wandered inside. The shelves were stocked with dusty cans of food that had long passed their expiration dates, while the grimy floors creaked ominously underfoot. "You guys smell that?" Lisa asked, eyes widening in horror. It was a sickly sweet stench, like something rotten had decided to stay a while. Just then, an ancient, shriveled old man appeared behind the counter, eyes glinting under the harsh lights. He didn't say a word, but the chilling smile plastered across his face told them everything. They were definitely not alone. As they hurried back to the car, the sound of the man's raspy laughter echoed against the walls, chasing them outside. The engine sputtered stubbornly, refusing to turn over, as panic clutched their throats. They all exchanged frantic glances, feeling the weight of invisible eyes locking onto them. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." With every frantic attempt to restart the car, the shadows began to twist menacingly around them, like they were alive. Then a low growl, a sound too human to be natural, rumbled from the woods nearby. Their hearts raced. Alex's face went pale. "What was that?" he whispered, voice barely audible over the electric hum of fear. Lisa shivered in the passenger seat, feeling a sense of something creeping ever closer. The air thickened with dread, the silence was deafening, and every second felt like a countdown. As they finally managed to get the engine to cough back to life, they tore down the road, but the sense of being followed clung to them. The woods pressed in around them, shadows crawling ever closer with every glance they dared to steal at their rearview mirror. Whatever had lurked behind them wasn't just a phantom. It was real, and it was watching. And then, just as they thought they were clear, a scream pierced the stillness, a sound full of pure terror, echoing from the depths of the forest. Who or what had been left behind in that stifling darkness? The scream echoed like a gunshot, slicing through the night and sending icy tendrils of fear slithering down their spines. The friends exchanged desperate glances, their eyes wide and unblinking. "What was that?" Sarah barely managed to croak out, panic clawing at her throat. I don't know." Alex stammered, his knuckles white as he gripped the steering wheel. The headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the twisted shapes of trees that loomed ominously like sentinels. Each second felt stretched, like time had slowed to a crawl as they raced away from that nightmarish gas station. With every swig of gas, the fear mounted like a tidal wave. Suddenly, without warning, a figure darted in front of the car, framed in the beam of the headlights. Alex slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching against the asphalt, the car skidding to a halt just inches away from the shadowy figure. When the dust settled, all they could see was a fleeting silhouette. "Oh God," Lisa gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Did we hit someone? They all leaned forward, hearts racing, searching the empty road as dread coiled around them like a serpent. I don't want to get out, Sarah whispered, her voice quivering with fear. What if it's something else? The sound of heavy breathing filled the car as they waited, frozen in place. Alex hesitated, then finally said, I'll go check. He opened the door, the creak echoing painfully loud against the silence. The cold air enveloped him, and he felt like he was stepping into a nightmare. With each step away from the car, the night seemed to close in around him. The shadows danced and flickered in the corners of his vision. He called out, Hello. Is anyone there? The forest swallowed his words whole. No response. Behind him, the others watched with bated breath, every second dragging out like an eternity. Just when Alex was about to turn back, he heard a faint rustling in the bushes. Panic welled up inside him, and he turned on his heel, racing back to the safety of the car. Did you see anything? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. No, but I heard something, he replied, breathless. We need to go. Now. He jumped back into the driver's seat, fatigue and adrenaline fighting for dominance in his veins. As he revved the engine, an overwhelming sense of being hunted washed over them. The world outside felt alive with unseen eyes, and every whispered breeze felt like a warning. They tore down the road, but the atmosphere was thickening again, shadows shifting and morphing around them. Was that a shadow? Lisa questioned, voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting through the fog-strewn darkness. Just drive. Alex barked, urgency creeping into his tone. But as he glanced in the rearview mirror, his stomach dropped. There was something emerging from the woods behind them, something tall and pale, moving far too fast for a human. It's coming for us. Sarah shrieked, clutching the seat as dread compressed her chest. In despair, Alex pressed the accelerator, but the car began to sputter at an alarming rate. The growl from earlier returned, this time resonating deep and primal. They screeched around a bend only to find the road stretching endlessly before them. But ahead, a car stood silhouetted against the road, a cluster of headlights. At first, they felt relief, until they noticed the driver's door swung open, empty, swaying slightly in the chilling wind. What the hell is going on? Alex shouted, panic infecting his voice. As they slowed to a stop, the figure from the woods appeared just behind them, faster now, a chilling smile stretching across its grotesque face. N01 moved, a coil of horror tightening around their hearts. Each heartbeat screamed the same question, who or what had been left behind in that stifling darkness? Suddenly, the figure lunged forward, and with that chilling moment, the road trip horror escalated. Everything was about to change. The figure lunged with a ferocity that made the air crackle. Alex's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage as instinct kicked, and he slammed the car into reverse, tires screeching as they peeled backward, desperate to escape. The cold sweat coating his palms made the steering wheel feel slick, as if it might betray him at any moment. Go. Just go. Sarah screamed, her voice laced with terror. The shadows were pulsating now, the trees as twisted and gnarled as the nightmare pursuing them. Where? Alex shouted back, glancing frantically from the rearview to the dim road ahead. There's nowhere to go. Lisa's eyes were wide, glistening with unshed tears. The other car. We need to get to it. Find help. Each word was a plea, punctuated by her shaky breath. As Alex shifted the gear and floored it, the engine roared, fueled by a primal fear to escape. But it felt like a weight was dragging them back, an unseen force pulling them into darkness. Fumbling in the back seat, Sarah grabbed the nearest object she could find, an old flashlight. Turn down the road. She shouted, hoping to guide Alex as he swerved, making the tires squeal against the gravelly surface. They darted toward that ghostly car, the headlights illuminating cobwebs and dust that seemed untouched for years. What if there's someone in there? Lisa gasped, holding her breath, each second stretching into an eternity. The figure was gaining ground, a blur of white racing behind them. Just as they reached the derelict vehicle, Alex spotted a glint of metal next to the driver's seat. Stay close. He barked, shoving the door open and darting out, the cold air hitting him like a slap. Alex, come back. Sarah cried, her voice cracking that he was in motion before he could think, sprinting toward the car. The flashlight beam trembled in his grip, illuminating nothing but more shadows, more fear. He scanned the area desperately, searching for the source of that dread. And then he saw it, a faint, red stain on the ground. It sprawled like a question mark, leading away from the abandoned car and into the woods. His gut twisted, a heavy lump lodged in his throat. How? Whose blood was it? 1,000 horrifying thoughts raced through his mind. Alex. Please. Sarah's voice cut through the fog of his thoughts. What are you doing? But he was drawn to the darkness. Something in his mind told him he had to understand what they were up against. I won't be long. He shouted back, his feet carrying him forward despite his instincts screaming for him to turn around. As he stepped into the trees, shadows coiled around him like mocking whispers. But then, behind him, a scream shattered the quiet night, a piercing wail that froze him in his tracks. It was Sarah. No. He whipped around, stumbling back toward the car, heart hammering in his chest. He threw himself through the door just as the figure emerged from the woods. But this time, it wasn't he alone. Swarming around the vehicle were more figures, grotesque and twisted, their smiles creeping across their faces as they surrounded his friends. Panic ignited within him as he dove into the back seat, eyes wide with horror. What do we do? Lisa screamed, her eyes darting between the figures and the now heavily beaten-up car. Fighting against sheer panic, Alex struggled to keep his composure. We fight. We have to. He grabbed the flashlight Sarah had abandoned and braced himself against the door. Just before he swung open the window to unleash the beam, he caught a glimpse of something in the shadows, something larger, more menacing, stalking toward them, and then it spoke. Welcome, you've come just in time for the show. The icy tendrils of terror clawed deeper into their souls. What had they stumbled into? A chorus of unnerving laughter erupted from the figures, echoing across the haunting night. In that moment, they knew it was far worse than they could ever imagine. What lay ahead would test them in unfathomable ways. As they clutched the old car, the question lingered, would they be able to escape, or were they simply pawns in a game much larger than themselves? The air turned electric, crackling with palpable fear. Alex's skin prickled. He felt the flashlight tugging at his grip, the chill of its worn metal sending shivers through his veins. The figures outside were closing in fast, their distorted forms glimmering under the pale moonlight, faces fixated on him with predatory glee. Now! He shouted, thrusting the flashlight out the window. The beam sliced through the darkness, illuminating a grotesque face directly in front of him. The creature recoiled, its twisted smile faltering as if light had physically burned it. For a fleeting moment, a bark of laughter echoed, punctuated by the sickening squelch of rusted metal. Alex! Keep it steady! Lisa cried, her voice thick with dread. He turned the beam on the next figure, its skin a sickly shade, eyes hollow and soulless. It lunged at the car, fingers grasping desperately for the metal door. Alex's hands shook as he swung the flashlight, losing focus in a rush of adrenaline. The beam flickered, casting erratic shadows around them. A cold rush of wind crashed against the windows, and Sarah shrieked again. What are they? Stay inside. Alex barked. Panic twisted inside him like a knife. Fight back. Suddenly, the monstrous voice boomed from the woods. Why fight us? We just want to play. The laughter burst forth again, intertwining with the rustling leaves, merging with the frantic pounding of Alex's heart. His instincts screamed to flee, but he felt rooted to the spot, caught in a web of horror. Get in the back! He yelled, barely hearing the chaos outside as he glanced at Lisa trying to pull Sarah away from the door. But the moment he looked away, the silence dropped, almost ominous. With a deafening crash, the window shattered. Hairpin shards sprayed them, a sharp sting slicing across his arm. Go! Go! He shouted, scrambling away from the door. They were surrounded, and hope began to slip through his fingers like sand. Then came a voice, deep and echoing. There's no escaping the truth, who will be first? Before Alex could respond, he felt a grip on his ankle, cold and clammy. It yanked him back toward the door, and he screamed as he realized he was being pulled out of the car. The others grabbed at him, desperate, fear-stricken faces fading into the growing dark. Help! Don't let go! Sarah was crying, a sound that chilled him to the bone, the terror echoing through his heart. He kicked hard, freeing himself, and lunged forward, adrenaline surging. The flashlight, his only weapon, bobbled in hand, projecting feeble light as he swung wildly at the figures. Each swing brought forth more sinister chuckles. Without warning, one of the figures darted forward, faster than he could register. It leaned close, a rancid breath washing over him. "We've been waiting for you," the words writhed in his mind. Those words, laced with dark promise, sent a chill plunging deep into his core. "And now, you'll see." With a primal scream, Alex turned to his friends. "Run! We need to get to the trees." He jerked his head toward the dark safety of the woods, its looming shadows now a desperate hope rather than despair. As they bolted, Alex could feel the presence behind them, the rush of breath and claws inches away. They fled into the embracing darkness, heart pounding, searching for a way out. But then the ground trembled beneath their feet. A low, guttural growl erupted from the depths of the woods. The trees seemed to sway, and with each step, the shadows danced, beckoning, as if they weren't alone in their flight. Could they outrun the darkness, or were they plunging deeper into a nightmare they couldn't escape? As the tempest of fear gripped them tighter, a horrible thought set in: what if the forest was just another trap? And what awaited them in the suffocating dark? The thudding of Alex's heart seemed to echo against the backdrop of the forest, drowning out the terrified gasps of his friends. They darted deeper into the woods, limbs thrashing against branches, the slick ground threatening to swallow them whole. Each footfall felt like a countdown, every rustle in the underbrush a reminder of the monstrous figures that pursued them. "Keep moving," Lisa urged, her voice strained and panicked. Alex glanced back. The glimmer of eyes flashed in the dark, shadows chasing them like wolves on a scent. He could almost hear their laughter curling around the trees, mocking him, daring him to stop. It fueled his desperation, a fire igniting within him as he pushed forward into the dense undergrowth. Suddenly, Sarah stumbled, her ankle twisting as she fell to the forest floor. Alex felt panic rise in his chest, a searing urgency that pressed against his lungs. He turned, reaching for her. "Grab my hand." But as he extended his arm, a figure emerged from the darkness, looming and hunched. It moved almost fluidly, muscles rippling beneath skin stretched too thin. The grotesque smile from the previous encounter clawed at Alex's memory, pulling him back to that moment of horror. "Leave her," it hissed, its voice dripping with sickening sweetness. "You can't save everyone. Get off her." Alex roared, willing his body to move before the creature could reach Sarah, trapped on the ground like prey. With renewed energy, he lunged, muscles screaming, adrenaline coursing through him. The flashlight flickered dangerously, the dying light illuminating the beast for a single heartbeat. That twisted smile widened as it gathered itself, ready to pounce. Yet, in that instant, the air shifted, the laughter faded, replaced by a deep thrum that resonated within the earth. "Now!" Lisa cried, pulling on Sarah's arm, hoisting her up as Alex swung the flashlight towards the advancing nightmare with all the force he could muster. The beam struck the creature, and it shrieked, a sound like 1,000 nails against glass, retreating momentarily into the trees. "Go! This way!" Alex barked, casting one last glance at the encroaching shadows before leading the way deeper into the thicket, fear tangling with determination. Branches whipped against their faces, leaves crackled underneath their frantic feet. The ground sloped downwards, and they stumbled into a grove, the trees arching overhead like giants looming protectively, but the darkness was more oppressive here, the air heavier. A suffocating silence descended, interrupted only by their ragged breaths. "What is happening?" Sarah murmured, voice shaky but clear. "We don't know, but we can't stop." Alex replied, forcing himself to stay calm even as the question echoed in his mind. How had they ended up here? What were those things? The anger he felt earlier now intermingled with a rising dread. Without warning, the ground shuddered underfoot again, and a low growl crawled out from between the trees. A sense of wrongness pulsed in the air, prickling their skin as if the forest itself was alive, bending under unseen forces. Suddenly, something burst from the shadows, an expanse of blackness, wider and darker than anything they had encountered, like a void had emerged to swallow them whole. The portal of darkness quivered, spewing whispers through the air, and in that moment, realization hit Alex like a punch to the gut. They're not just chasing us, they're controlling it. What? Lisa cried, eyes wide with horror. Controlling what? Before he could respond, the darkness lunged, tendrils stretching toward them, reaching and grasping, the cold brush of an unseen hand scraping against his skin. Run! Keep running! Alex yelled, adrenaline coursing through his veins as he took a step back, heart racing, the horrifying truth wrapping around him like chains, but the question clawed at him, echoing in the chaos. What if the key to their survival lay within the very darkness that now reached for them? As they turned and fled yet again, the darkness seeped closer, promising secrets and terror in equal measure. What would they risk to uncover the truth lurking in the shadows? They stumbled through the grove, the weight of the darkness pressing on their backs like a vice. Every heartbeat thundered in Alex's ears, drowning out the whispered cacophony radiating from that eerie void. Sarah clutched his arm, panic written all over her pale face. What if it catches us? It won't. Alex grit his teeth, forcing confidence he didn't feel. They had to keep moving, but where? The trees were closing in, shadows twisting like claws reaching from the depths. Over there! Lisa shouted, pointing towards a narrow break between the trees. It led to a narrow pathway choked with undergrowth. They pushed onward, driven by fear and adrenaline. But the whispers followed, growing louder, twisting their thoughts. They felt like fingers creeping into their minds, planting seeds of doubt. Keep it together! Alex shouted, though he felt his grip on reality slipping. Just breathe. Each step felt more labored. The ground was treacherous, roots snagging at their feet, trying to trip them. They stumbled but pressed on. Shadows closed in, a palpable darkness that swallowed sound and light, isolating them from the world they once knew. They burst into a small clearing, the pale moonlight illuminating the wreckage of an old cabin. It stood like a skeleton, crumbling but resolute, an altar to forgotten horrors. Lisa gestured toward it, her eyes darting with fear and desperation. Maybe we can hide in there, she suggested. Are you crazy? Sarah shot back, her voice trembling. That's where they'll find us. We've got no choice. It's either the cabin or whatever is out there. Alex's voice faltered. He hated that he had to make this call. The decision was made. They sprinted toward the cabin, the wood creaking ominously under their weight as they slammed the door shut behind them. It felt like slamming the door on a predator breathing down their necks. Inside, darkness hung thick in the air, the musty scent screaming abandonment. A single beam of moonlight sliced through a cracked window, illuminating dust motes swirling like lost spirits. The silence here was different, charged, as if the walls were listening, waiting. Do you think we're safe? Sarah murmured, hugging herself tightly. Not for long, Alex replied, own heart thundering like a war drum. They'll find us. We need to figure out what to do. Fast. Lisa scanned the space, her eyes narrowing in concentration. What if it's all connected? The darkness, those monsters, maybe they want something. Yeah. What? Us? Alex shot back, frustration bubbling over. Or maybe it's a game. Calm down. Shouting 1T help. Lisa's voice snapped. Think. We need to understand what we're dealing with. If they're controlling this darkness, maybe we can find a way to turn it against them. Suddenly, a loud crash reverberated from outside, causing them all to jump. Shadows flitted outside as the creatures converged. Their eyes glinted like burning coals, punctuated by that bone-chilling laughter that echoed in the cabin's stillness. "We're out of time." Alex breathed, his eyes darting to the windows. "Do we stay and risk it, or do we try our luck making a run for it?" As shadows pressed against the walls, their options narrowed, and a deafening silence fell among them. Deep inside, Alex felt a spark of defiance inching its way into his core. "We fight back," he finally said, voice resolute. "Are you insane? They'll kill us." Sarah protested, but Alex could see the fire in her eyes flicker. "Or they want something from us. Let us figure out what that is before it's too late." With that declaration, they huddled together, breaths mingling in the dim light, adrenaline coursing through their veins. They knew they had to confront the darkness, discover its secrets, before it consumed them whole. And as the creature's dreadful laughter echoed through the night, Alex could only wonder, what could possibly be waiting for them in the heart of that darkness? What further horrors were about to unfold? The moment hung like a taut rubber band, ready to snap. The laughter outside was a grim reminder of their peril, each note vibrating in Alex's bones. He pressed his ear against the splintered wood, straining to hear what was happening outside. The creatures were closer now. He could sense their presence, feel the air growing heavy with their malice. "We can't just sit here." Sarah's voice trembled, panic bubbling beneath the surface. "They're coming for us." Alex hushed her, eyes wide as he steeled himself. "Just listen." He barely breathed, the silence outside deafening, the laughter faded, replaced by guttural growls, low and menacing. They were circling the cabin. The broken shutters rattled, and Alex felt the walls quiver as if they were alive, shivering in fear. "What if they get in?" Lisa whispered, her wide eyes reflecting the fractured moonlight. "What do we do then?" "We'll fight," Alex repeated, his voice firmer this time. The ghost of an idea flickered in his mind. The shadows were a force. Perhaps they could harness it. "We need light. Maybe we can use it against them." "Light?" Sarah echoed. "What are you talking about?" "We're in a dark, creepy cabin. Look." Lisa pointed to a dusty lantern hanging from the ceiling, its glass cracked but intact. "If we can light it." Alex rushed over. He felt a glimmer of hope spark as he carefully pulled it down. "Does anyone have matches? Anything?" "I think I saw some in the back," Lisa said quickly, darting past him into the darkness of the cabin. Her footsteps echoed softly, swallowed by the stillness. Sarah squinted into the gloom, nerves on edge. "Hurry, please." As Lisa rummaged, Alex gripped the lantern tightly, feeling its weight in his hands. The darkness outside pressed against the timbers, a suffocating force. The laughter returned, louder this time, almost mocking. His heart raced as she shuffled back into view, breathless but triumphant. "I found them." Lisa held out a frayed matchbook, desperate relief flooding her features. Alex took the matches, a silent prayer escaping his lips. He struck one, its sulfur head flaring to life. The flickering light pushed back the shadows momentarily, creating a halo around them. "Hold on. This might hurt," he said, trying to project confidence, as if that could change their fate. He maneuvered the lantern into position, igniting the wick. Flames danced to life, casting flickering shadows on the walls. He leaned in closer, and the light grew steady, illuminating their faces. There was a moment of stunned silence as the cabin filled with its golden glow. But it was short-lived. Outside, the creatures roared in fury. The shadows that had cowered away from the light surged forward, becoming darker, more menacing. Eyes appeared in the depths of the night, glistening with anticipation. "It's working!" Lisa gasped, her voice a tremor of hope mingled with fear. "Keep it lit." Maybe we can scare them off. Sarah added, feeling the adrenaline surge. They had momentarily regained a sense of control, a flicker of bravery in the overwhelming darkness. But that spark was fragile. As the creatures howled, the windows rattled violently, splintering wood and glass. An unseen force pressed against the door, rattling its hinges. What if it's not enough? Alex breathed, dread knotting his stomach. What if they're stronger than we think? I don't know. Sarah shouted, eyes darting. But we have to do something. Without warning, a shadow surged through the window, breaking the barrier of light. The lantern flickered dangerously, almost dying. Alex's heart raced, panic surging in him. Hold it steady. He yelled, gripping the lantern tighter. Together, they pressed toward the glimmering warmth as the darkness clawed at them, desperate to snuff it out. Then, one of the creatures lunged inside, a specter of nightmares, its eyes ablaze with hunger. The moment hung there, taut and terrifying. Now! Alex screamed, but just as they braced themselves, a cracking sound jolted through the cabin. The lantern trembled, and in that instant, Alex understood, what they faced was not just the monsters outside but a battle against their deepest fears. Would their flickering light hold, or would it all slip away into the unrelenting darkness? The creature burst through the window in a blur of teeth and claws, a whirlwind of malevolence. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its breath was hot and rancid. Alex's grip on the lantern tightened, a desperate act of defiance against the encroaching horror. Get back! He shouted, his voice cracking as he swung the lantern toward the beast. The flames sputtered, casting erratic shadows. The creature hesitated, darting away from the light, but it didn't retreat for long. It lunged again, but this time, Lisa grabbed the heavy metal kettle that had been sitting on the table. With a swift movement, she hurled it at the beast. The kettle struck its side, clanging loudly, and the thing snarled a sound so primal it chilled their blood. Keep it away from me! Sarah cried, fear pinching her features. Focus! Just keep the light steady. Alex urged, his heart pounding in time with the frantic thuds of breath clenching in his chest. The lantern flickered once more, and the glow sputtered. He could feel the light waning as shadows clawed at the edges. His mind raced against the dwindling time. He needed to think. Was there something they could do to hold on to the flicker of hope burning inside that fragile glass? Think, think. He muttered under his breath, casting quick glances around the room as the creature hovered just outside the glow, growling low and menacing. Their only objectives, survival and light. Oil. We need to pour more oil into it. Lisa shouted, understanding dawning in her eyes as her fingers fumbled for the supply cabinet beside her. Do it. Alex commanded, but just as she reached in, the creature barreled forward like a freight train, slamming its body against the cabin door. The hinges buckled, and the wood splintered beneath the force. Hold the lantern high. Sarah screamed, panic overtaking her as she scrambled backward. As Lisa hurriedly poured the oil, Alex took a step closer, using his body as a shield. The light thrummed with life, a small beacon against the chaos tightening around them. Then, with a roar that echoed through the night, the creature lunged again. Its claws raked the air, inches from Alex's face, and desperation turned him into a primal force of instinct. He hurled the lantern directly at the creature. The glass shattered, an explosion of fire and light that refracted into 1,000 shards, illuminating every dark corner of the cabin. For an instant, it seemed as if they decaptured the darkness itself in a battle of fire. Sarah squealed, clutching her arm, the heat scorching her skin, but the beast recoiled, howling in rage. The flames caught its fur, a hideous scream joining the cacophony of destruction. It twisted in agony, retreating further from the blaze, and for a fleeting moment, they felt a surge of hope. Is it working? Lisa panted, watching as the flames danced wildly, a force of rebellion against the night. Maybe. Alex gasped, but the creature, though singed, wasn't finished. It regrouped, eyes burning like twin suns against the shadows. The laughter outside rose again, a deafening symphony of malice. More were coming. "Alex, we need to get out," Sarah shouted, her eyes wide with terror as the door began to creak under another assault. "But where can we go? They're all around us." "I'll find another way out," Lisa declared, determination sharpening her voice. "Just hold them off." With that, she dashed toward the rear of the cabin, a plan forming in her mind. Alex and Sarah exchanged a single glance, dread pooling in their stomachs. "Ready?" Alex asked, feeling the weight of the moment pressing against him. "Whatever happens, we stick together." Before they could respond, the door erupted inward, flinging splinters into the air. And as the light flickered one last time, Alex realized what he really needed to confront wasn't just the creature but the dark, gnawing fear gripping his heart. Were they truly ready to face the abyss, or would it swallow them whole? And then the shadows surged forward, an avalanche of terror ready to swallow them whole. The chaos erupted in a cacophony of snarls and splintered wood, tumbling into chaos that felt too vast to comprehend. Alex's heart raced like a drum in his ears, drowning out the nerve-wracking laughter still echoing outside. It was a sound filled with malice, vibrating through the very bones of the cabin. "Run, now!" he yelled, grabbing Sarah's wrist. He could feel the heat rising, the creature's fury igniting the air like a match struck in gasoline. They sprinted toward the back of the cabin, desperation adding fire to their legs. Lisa was already fighting against the old back door. "Help me!" she cried, panic making her voice tremble. The door barely budged against the relentless weight of the beast battering the front, and with every groan of the wood, Alex felt their chances of escape slipping away. "On three!" he called, steeling himself. 1, 2, 3. With one ferocious push, they heaved against the door. It cracked open slightly, just enough for a sliver of moonlight to pierce the darkness inside. Alex felt a rush of hope. Could they make it out? But just as hope flared, it fell away again as the cabin shook under an ear-splitting crash. The front door had given in, acknowledging the weight of the creature that would soon flood the room. "Faster!" shouted Sarah, her breath quickening as she forced her way through the narrow gap. The chill of night air filled their lungs as they spilled outside, the free air feeling almost foreign after being trapped in the cabin, but freedom was deceptive. Shadows skittered around them, glowing eyes peering from the darkness. How many more were out there? The laughter had amplified, harrowing war cries echoing in the woods surrounding them. "We need to move," Lisa yelled, her urgency igniting a spark of survival inside them. "There's a path over there." She pointed to a small trail leading into the trees, barely visible under the thick canopy. They bolted down the path, the underbrush snagging at their clothes. Alex felt the weight of dread chasing them, relentless. Every snap of a twig told him something was close behind. "Which way?" Sarah gasped, twisting her head in all directions. Night swallowed everything, and the forest felt like a living thing, conspiring against them. "Just keep running," Alex shouted, forcing his legs to push faster, despite the burn. Somewhere in the back of his mind, rational thoughts fought against instinct. What were they running toward? Was the forest safer than the cabin? Would the darkness take them next? Branches whipped against them as they plunged deeper into the woods. The shadows were everywhere now, long, intertwined, darting like phantoms looking for a chance to strike. Then, a gnarled root suddenly caught Lisa's foot, and she lost her balance, crashing to the ground with a gasp. "Go." "I can't." Lisa's voice tore through him. "No." Alex skidded to a halt and turned back. But before he could reach her, the dark silhouette of the creature appeared, blurry at first, then solidifying into a horrifying shape, a grotesque mass of fur and fangs. It took a step forward, stalking toward them with a predatory grace fueled by hunger. "Get up! Get up!" Sarah screamed, urging Lisa. Alex felt a primal urge tugging at him to either run and save himself or stay and fight the horror before them. "Please, help me!" Lisa cried, fear raw in her voice. Alex. The gaze of the creature locked onto Alex, a chilling understanding passing between them. A raw choice. Take her. He screamed, forcing the words past clenched teeth. Before he could think better of it, he lunged forward, snatching a fallen branch and swinging it wildly at the beast. It snarled, and time cracked like glass around them. Just as he made contact, a loud growl erupted, the creature sputtering back, anger fueling its flames. Suddenly, the forest erupted with movement. The laughter grew louder, a rising tide. Shadows converged around them. Run! He bellowed, heart racing, realizing the true horror was only beginning. But even as they fled, uncertainty gnawed at him. What if they escaped this creature only to encounter something worse? With urgency, Alex pulled Lisa to her feet, dragging her along the path. The night sang with danger, but somewhere in that darkness, a glimmer of hope flickered. Could they find safety? As they pushed onward, breath ragged and ground muddy beneath their feet, another realization struck him hard: the shadows were a pack, moving with intent. What are they planning? He wondered, fear clutching at his throat. And then a voice, soft yet chilling, echoed through the trees, the laughter morphing into sinister words that sent shivers down his spine. This is only the beginning. His chest tightened as they ran faster, adrenaline pumping, but could they outrun the nightmare yet to come? The shadows closed in around them, relentless and hungry, as Alex dragged Lisa deeper into the woods. Every step felt heavy, fear weighing them down like lead. Darkness curled around their ankles, trying to hold them back, clawing at their resolve. They had to escape. They had to find a way out of this nightmare. Over there. Lisa gasped, pointing ahead at a dim light flickering in the distance. It was a beacon amidst the crushing darkness, a glimmer of hope that beckoned them forward. We have to reach it. Without hesitation, they pushed through the underbrush, limbs thrashing against low-hanging branches. Each stride sent adrenaline coursing through Alex. He could feel his heart thumping wildly against his chest, thrumming with the urgency of survival. The night air was thick with tension, punctuated by that ever-lurking laughter echoing in the void, swirling around them like a sinister melody. Suddenly, the laughter morphed, an ominous growl erupted from the trees behind them. Alex risked a glance over his shoulder and his stomach dropped. The creatures were gaining ground, their eyes like pale moons in the murky shadows, glinting with malicious glee. Run! He barked, turning back to Lisa. They stumbled forward, the light becoming clearer, flickers of flame pulsating against the backdrop of dread. A cabin emerged in sight, weathered yet defiant, standing against the waves of darkness. Hope surged as they sprinted toward it. But the growl accelerated behind them, a reminder that they were not alone. As they reached the door, Lisa grasped the handle, yanking it open with a desperate force. They rushed inside, slamming the door behind them, each heavy breath mingling with the dancing flames of a flickering fireplace, their only source of warmth amidst the cold dread. Are we safe? Sarah panted, panic lacing her voice as she pressed her back against the door, heart racing. For now, Alex whispered, feeling a flicker of relief amidst the chaos. He scanned the dimly lit room, spotting dusty furniture and cobwebs draping lifeless corners. But we can't stay here long. The laughter from the shadows outside twisted into something almost tangible, scraping against their very souls, reminding them of the ever-present danger lurking just beyond the door. With determination, Alex gathered his voice. We need to find a way to fight back this isn't over. He turned to Lisa and Sarah, their eyes wide with fear but flickering with a hint of resolve. Those shadows won't stop until they have what they want. What do they want? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. I don't know, but they're drawn to something, Alex replied, his mind racing. Maybe if we can understand it, we can turn it against them. Lisa's eyes darted around the room, hunting for anything that could give them strength. What if there is something in the woods, something that can help us? We have to risk it. Alex felt the fire in his gut ignite once more, determination rallying within. But we need light much more than what we have now. They rummaged through the cabin, frantically searching for supplies. Each creak of the floorboard set their nerves on edge. Alex's fingers brushed against a dusty old lantern. "If we can find oil or something to fuel it, I'll check in here." Lisa darted into an adjoining room, her footsteps barely above a whisper against the quiet cabin. Outside, the darkness pressed against the wood, shadows swirling eagerly. This was their moment, a chance to turn the tide, to arm themselves against the horrors they had faced. Alex needed to be strong. He couldn't let fear take hold. The sound of branches scratching against the windows made him jump. "Hurry!" he urged, heart drumming like a war cry. From the other room, Lisa's voice rang out. "I found something." She emerged, clutching a bottle of oil and matches. "Perfect. Let us light it up." Alex's heart soared at the flicker of hope. They quickly filled the lantern and lit it. The glow cast shadows that danced against the walls, illuminating their faces, revealing determination mixed with their lingering fear. As they held the lantern high, something changed. The laughter that surrounded them began to drop into silence, almost startled by the light. "Now!" Alex shouted, running to the window. He swung the light outward, illuminating the dark and sending the creatures fluttering back into the shadows. The sense that they could possibly hold their ground ignited newfound strength. "Keep it steady," Sarah exclaimed, her voice empowered by the warmth of the flame, but then the darkness surged like a wild beast, swirling, pushing against the light. The cabin shook as the creatures reasserted their presence, a cacophony of snarls vibrating through the wood. "Stay close," Alex called, urging them back towards the center as he flicked the light back and forth, searching for anything more to command the shadows, but they were relentless. This was going to be their fight. "We take the battle to them," he decided, a piercing clarity settling over him. Fear never pushed them back, it only fueled their resolve. Choking down the uncertainty, he turned towards the door. "We go out there. We confront them. Together." "Are you crazy?" Sarah exclaimed, eyes wide with shock. "This isn't just about surviving. We have to show them that we're not afraid anymore." Drawing in a breath, he felt his spirit strengthen. The burden of their night hadn't defeated them, it only made them fight harder. Lisa stepped forward, illuminating her face with the lantern. "I'm with you." "Me too," Sarah added, steely determination in her voice. One last glance outside told him the creatures were regrouping, the shadows swirling, waiting. "Let us do this." In one swift movement, they burst through the door, the lantern held high and fierce as they stepped into the night, ready to confront the darkness that had haunted them for too long. It was time to reclaim their fate together. And as they stepped into the pulse of shadows, a feeling of fierce unity wrapped around them like armor. They would not go quietly into the dark. They would fight, and in that fight, they might just find the truth that would break the hold of the sinister forces that had tormented them. With hearts full of courage, they moved forward, ready to face whatever lay in that dark. This journey was theirs to reclaim. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show your support, and let us journey together into the next adventure.